Austin, Texas's South First District was a vibrant area filled with artists, young professionals, and eclectic businesses. On the corner of Barton Springs Road, housed in a restored 1920s bungalow, Emma's flower shop operated quietly. Pastel-colored windows, hand-painted signage, and the constant scent of fresh flowers created an atmosphere of peace and beauty. Emma Johnson, 42, had been running the shop for 12 years. Average height with brown hair pulled back in a neat chignon, always dressed in earth-tone colors, she appeared to be the perfect neighborhood florist. Customers found her gentle, intuitive, and amazingly perceptive. "Emma always knows exactly what I need," said Mrs. Williams, a regular customer. "I come in feeling sad. She gives me sunflowers. Anxious day, she suggests lavender. It's like she can read my mind." Emma would smile modestly. "I just pay attention to people," she'd say. But her attention was far from ordinary customer service. Emma analyzed every customer from the moment they entered. Gait analysis, facial micro-expressions, clothing choices, body language, verbal patterns, every detail was a piece of information in her mental database. The shop's layout was also strategic. Mirrors placed at different angles, clear sightlines to all entrances, and Emma's work area positioned to observe every corner. Customers assumed it was aesthetic choice, but it was actually tactical positioning. Emma's assistant, Tyler Rodriguez, was a 26-year-old art student who worked part-time. Enthusiastic and creative, he never understood the sophistication of Emma's observation skills. "Emma, how do you always know what people want?" Tyler would ask. "Yesterday, that businessman came in. You immediately suggested funeral arrangements. He hadn't even said anything yet." Emma would adjust her flower arrangements thoughtfully. His posture, facial expression, the way he looked at different flowers. Body language tells stories, Tyler. Tyler was impressed, but couldn't grasp the underlying complexity. Emma's ability to read people came from years of professional training that he knew nothing about. In the back room of the shop, Emma maintained a private office. The walls were covered with flower supplier catalogs, but a careful observer might notice old psychology textbooks, behavioral analysis journals, and what appeared to be surveillance equipment. But no one ever entered the back room. Emma's daily routine was systematic. She opened the shop at 8 a.m., arranged fresh flowers, and served customers, but she catalogued every interaction in her mental files. Who bought what, when, why, behavioral patterns, psychological profiles of repeat customers. Emma's memory is amazing. Other shop owners in the neighborhood would say, she remembers every customer's preference, every special occasion, every family detail. It wasn't memory, it was training. Emma's mind operated like a database, constantly collecting and analyzing human behavioral data. That Tuesday morning, October 15th, Emma opened her shop with her normal routine. She arranged fresh deliveries and assigned Tyler his daily tasks. At 10:30 a.m., an unusual customer entered. The man appeared to be in his mid-30s, with an athletic build and well-dressed but not overdressed appearance. Business casual attire, clean-shaven, short hair, confident posture. At first glance he seemed like a normal customer, but Emma immediately detected red flags. The man's gait was too controlled, almost measured. His eyes systematically scanned the room, exits, mirrors, other customers. His phone was positioned for easy access, though he tried to appear casual. His hands were positioned in a subtle defensive readiness stance. "Good morning," Emma said, her smile warm but her eyes alert. "How can I help you today?" "Hi," the man said, his smile appearing practiced. "I'm looking for wedding flowers, getting married next month." Emma's behavioral analysis instantly activated. She analyzed his statement, voice tone slightly elevated, suggesting stress or deception. Eye contact, brief, then looked away, classic avoidance pattern. Body posture, shifted weight, unconscious defensive stance. Hands, no wedding ring, no tan line indicating a recently removed ring. "Congratulations," Emma said, stepping closer. "What's your fiancée's favorite flower?" The man hesitated for a microsecond. "Roses. She loves roses." Emma noted. Generic answer, no specificity. A real groom would have detailed preferences, colors, personal memories associated with specific flowers. "What color roses?" Emma asked, her voice sweet but her eyes sharp. "Red. Classic red roses." Another generic response. Emma's professional training kicked in deeper. This wasn't about flowers. This was an intelligence-gathering mission. "Beautiful choice," Emma said, moving toward the rose display. "When's the wedding date?" "November 18th. Emma noted. Immediate response. No calculation. Either a well-rehearsed lie or a genuine date, but combined with other inconsistencies. What's your fiancée's name? Emma asked casually, while arranging roses. Jennifer. Again, an immediate response. Emma noted. Common name, safe choice for a cover story. How long have you been together? 2 years. A slight hesitation this time. Emma's behavioral analysis went deeper. This man had received professional training, counter-surveillance awareness, controlled responses, but small tells were still visible. Years of CIA experience had taught her to recognize this type of operative. What's the venue? Emma asked, stepping closer. St. Mary's Cathedral downtown. Emma smiled. Beautiful choice. I've done many weddings there. Father Martinez is wonderful. The man's micro-expression changed. Brief confusion, then recovery. Yes, Father Martinez, but Emma knew there was no St. Mary's Cathedral in Austin. The closest one was in San Antonio, and the priest's name wasn't Martinez. It was Father O'Brien. Emma realized this was an intelligence-gathering operation. But what kind of intelligence? Why a flower shop? Why her? Let me show you some arrangements, Emma said, leading him deeper into the shop. Tyler emerged from the back room, carrying fresh lilies. Emma, these just arrived from the supplier. Thank you, Tyler. Could you water the orchids, please? The man watched Tyler carefully, mentally cataloging another person in the space. Emma noticed this behavior as well, so Emma continued. What's your budget range? Money's not an issue. I want the best for Jennifer, Emma noted. Vague response, avoiding specifics. A real groom would have discussed budget with his fiancée, would have specific numbers. What does Jennifer do for work? She's a teacher. What grade? Elementary. 3rd grade. Emma tested. That's wonderful. 3rd graders are so creative. Does she teach at any of the local schools? Zilka Elementary. Emma smiled. There was no Zilka Elementary in Austin. Zilka Park existed, but not a school with that name. This confirmed her suspicions. This man was definitely an intelligence operative, using a poor cover story to gain entry to her shop. But why? Emma's CIA training took over completely. She had to determine, was this friendly intelligence, FBI, CIA, NSA, or hostile foreign intelligence? I'll need to see some samples, the man said. Of course, let me show you our premium wedding packages. Emma led him to the back corner of the shop, away from Tyler, away from other customers. If this was intelligence gathering, she needed to control the situation. Tell me about Jennifer's style, Emma said, her voice gentle, but her eyes sharp. She's classic, elegant, loves traditional things. Emma watched his body language as he spoke. When people talk about loved ones, certain involuntary responses occur. Pupils dilate slightly, facial muscles soften, voice tone becomes warmer. The man showed none of these responses. How did you propose? Romantic dinner, downtown restaurant. Which restaurant? The Driscoll. Emma noted. The Driscoll was a hotel, not primarily a restaurant. Close, but not quite accurate. What did you order? Steak. She had salmon. Generic answers. No details. No emotional connection to the memory. Emma made a decision. Time to shift from customer service to interrogation mode. You know, Emma said casually. I'm curious. You seem nervous for someone planning a happy occasion. The man's posture tightened almost imperceptibly. Just want everything to be perfect. Of course, but there's something else, isn't there? Emma stepped closer, her voice dropping to a confidential tone. Who sent you? The man's eyes sharpened. I don't know what you mean. I mean, what agency are you with? FBI, CIA, NSA, because you're definitely not here for wedding flowers. The man's hand moved slightly toward his jacket, not for a weapon, but for identification, an instinctive response. I think you have the wrong idea, he said carefully. Emma smiled. Do I? Let's see, your gait suggests military or law enforcement training. Your situational awareness is professional level. Your cover story has multiple inconsistencies. And your questioning technique, yes, I noticed you were gathering information about me, suggests intelligence background. The man stared at her. You're very observant. I'm very trained, Emma replied. The question is, what do you want? That's when Tyler called from the front. Emma, there's a delivery truck outside. Emma glanced toward the front, then back at the man. We'll continue this conversation. Don't leave. As she turned to handle the delivery, the man spoke quietly. Emma Johnson isn't your real name, is it? Emma froze. Your real name is Emma Victoria Chen, former CIA behavioral analyst. Specialization, psychological profiling, and interrogation resistance. You disappeared from the agency 12 years ago. Emma turned back slowly. And you are, or no, Agent Marcus Cole, CIA Internal Security. We need to talk. Emma's mask completely dropped. Standing in her flower shop, surrounded by roses and lilies, she was no longer the gentle neighborhood florist. Her posture changed, shoulders squaring, eyes becoming sharp and analytical. Internal Security, she said, her voice now professional. What took you so long? Agent Cole relaxed slightly. You've been very good at disappearing. New identity, new life, new location, but certain patterns emerged. What patterns?
Austin PD reported unusual insights from a civilian who helped solve 3 cold cases. Behavioral analysis, so accurate it flagged our attention. Then there was the domestic violence intervention last year. You profiled the suspect's escalation pattern with textbook precision. Emma thought back to these incidents. She'd helped quietly, anonymously, trying to use her skills for good without exposure. I left that life behind, she said firmly. Did you? Or did you just relocate it? Tyler reappeared from the back room. Emma, everything okay? Tyler, Emma said calmly. Could you take your lunch break now? I need to handle some business. Tyler looked between Emma and Agent Cole, sensing tension but not understanding it. Sure, Emma. I'll be back in an hour. After Tyler left, Emma locked the front door and flipped the sign to closed. Now we can talk properly, she said. Agent Cole studied her with professional interest. You've maintained your skills remarkably well. Skills don't disappear, they just hibernate. We know about your exit from the agency, the operation that went wrong, the psychological evaluation that recommended early retirement. But Emma, your country needs you again. Emma laughed bitterly. My country decided I was too damaged for active duty. 12 years of therapy recommended retirement, remember. The situation has changed. We have a problem that requires your specific expertise. What kind of problem? Cole pulled out a tablet, showing her classified files. Foreign intelligence operatives infiltrating American communities. They're using long-term deep cover, establishing businesses, becoming part of neighborhoods. Traditional surveillance can't detect them because they're genuinely integrated. Emma looked at the files. Photos of ordinary-looking people in ordinary jobs. And you need behavioral analysis to identify them. We need you to identify them. Your psychological profiling skills are unmatched. You can spot deception patterns, analyze micro-expressions, detect inconsistencies in cover stories, like I just did with you. Exactly. Within minutes you'd dismantled my entire cover. Most agents would have missed those details. Emma moved to her workstation, mechanically arranging flowers while processing this information. Why should I help? I built a new life here. I'm happy, because they're targeting places like this. Small businesses, community centers, places where people trust each other. They're not just gathering intelligence. They're preparing for something bigger. What kind of something? Cole's expression darkened. We're not sure, but the pattern suggests coordinated sleeper cells preparing for activation. Emma's professional instincts kicked in. How many operatives? We've identified 16 possible candidates across 5 states. Texas has 4, and you want me to profile them. We want you to help us identify them definitively. Your analysis would determine who's a genuine community member and who's an intelligence operative. Emma considered this. Part of her missed the intellectual challenge, the satisfaction of solving complex behavioral puzzles, but another part remembered why she'd left. The last time I worked for the agency, she said quietly, my psychological evaluation of a suspect was wrong. My analysis said he was stable, non-violent. He killed 3 people 2 days later. Cole nodded. I read the file. But Emma, you were working with incomplete information. The subject had been psychologically conditioned to mask his true psychological state. You couldn't have detected that. I should have detected it. That's what I was trained for. You were trained to analyze normal human behavior, not subjects who'd been through advanced psychological conditioning by foreign intelligence services. Emma looked up from her flowers. You're saying the suspect was
a foreign operative whose cover was blown. He activated rather than be captured. You weren't wrong, Emma. You were analyzing someone who'd been specifically trained to defeat your techniques. This information hit Emma like a physical blow. For 12 years, she'd carried the guilt of those deaths, believing her failure in analysis had cost lives. Why didn't anyone tell me this? The information was classified above your clearance level. The decision was made to let you believe it was analytical failure, rather than reveal the existence of conditioning programs. Emma sat down heavily. So I left my career, my calling, my purpose, based on a lie, based on compartmentalized information. We couldn't tell you then. We can tell you now. Emma's mind raced. 12 years of guilt, 12 years of believing she'd failed, 12 years of self-imposed exile from the work she'd loved. What exactly are you asking me to do? Come back. Not full-time, not to Langley. Work from here. Use your flower shop as cover while you analyze suspected operatives. Help us identify the threats before they activate. Emma looked around her shop, the peaceful space she'd created, the simple life she'd built. And if I refuse, then we'll respect your decision. But Emma, there's something else. One of the suspected operatives is in Austin. Emma's blood went cold. Where? We're not sure, but the profile suggests someone in a community-facing business, someone who's been here long enough to build trust, establish relationships, someone like me, someone exactly like you. Emma realized the implications. If there was a foreign intelligence operative in Austin, using a community business as cover, then everyone she'd grown to care about, her customers, Tyler, the other shop owners, could be at risk. Show me the files, she said. Cole smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. Emma spent the next 2 hours reviewing classified files on her tablet while Cole waited patiently. Her analytical mind, dormant for 12 years, awakened with startling clarity. Subject A, she said, pointing to a photo. Restaurant owner, been in Denver for 8 years. Micro-expressions show genuine emotional attachment to customers. This isn't an operative. What makes you sure? Look at the surveillance photos. When he's talking to regulars, his facial muscles relax naturally. When people discuss fake relationships, they unconsciously maintain tension. He's genuine. Cole made notes. Continue. Subject B, bookstore owner in Portland. This one's more interesting. Emma studied the behavioral analysis data, noticed the eye movement patterns when discussing her past, classic constructed memory indicators. She's definitely hiding something. Operative, possibly, but not necessarily foreign intelligence. Could be witness protection, tax evasion, domestic abuse survivor. The deception pattern suggests personal secrets, not professional cover. Emma continued through the files, her expertise returning naturally. Years of training and experience flowed back like muscle memory. Subject C, coffee shop owner in San Antonio. This is your operative. Cole leaned forward. What do you see? Multiple tells. Body language during community interactions shows calculated emotional responses. His spontaneous laughter has consistent timing, trained behavior. Most importantly, look at his reaction to unexpected questions about his past. He doesn't just deflect, he redirects with counter questions. Classic interrogation resistance technique. Excellent. What about subject D? Emma opened the Austin file. Her heart stopped. The photo showed a familiar face. David Kim, owner of Kim's hardware store, 2 blocks from her flower shop. She'd known him for 5 years, considered him a friend. Emma, what is it? Emma studied David's behavioral data with new eyes. His perfect English, despite claiming to be a recent immigrant. His encyclopedic knowledge of American cultural references. His detailed knowledge of Austin history, despite allegedly moving there only 6 years ago. I know him, she said quietly. He's been my neighbor for 5 years. Your assessment? Emma's professional training warred with personal feelings, but the evidence was clear. He's an operative, probably North Korean or Chinese intelligence. His cover story has too many convenient details. His cultural knowledge is too comprehensive for someone with his stated background. Cole nodded grimly. We suspected, but we needed confirmation from someone who knew him personally. What happens now? We conduct surveillance, gather more evidence, eventually arrest him. Emma felt sick. David helped me install security cameras last year. He brings me coffee every Tuesday. He's been to my shop hundreds of times, which means he's been gathering intelligence on you for 5 years. The implications hit Emma like a wave. Her customers, her routines, her personal life, all of it had been observed, analyzed, reported. Did he know who I am? We don't think so. Your cover has been excellent. But Emma, this confirms why we need you. These operatives are integrated into communities. They're not just gathering intelligence, they're mapping American social networks, identifying potential targets, understanding our vulnerabilities. Emma looked at her flower shop with new eyes. This peaceful space she'd created wasn't just a business, it was a window into American community life. And if David was an operative, he'd been watching that window for 5 years. I need to think about this, she said. Of course, but Emma, there's one more thing. Our intelligence suggests the Austin operative has been activated. Whatever he's been preparing for, it's happening soon. Emma's professional instincts fully awakened. What kind of activation? We're not sure, but the communication patterns suggest coordination with other cells. Something big is being planned. Emma looked at the files scattered across her workstation. Months of investigation, analysis, surveillance. And at the center of it all, her quiet neighborhood in Austin, her flower shop, her simple life. If I do this, she said slowly, I want complete operational control. No interference, no second-guessing my analysis. Agreed. And I want protection for Tyler and my customers. They're not part of this. Of course. Emma took a deep breath. Then I'm in. Cole smiled. Welcome back, Agent Chen. That evening, after Cole left, Emma sat in her shop surrounded by flowers and classified files. Her peaceful world had been shattered, but strangely, she felt more alive than she had in years. Tyler returned from his extended lunch break, sensing something had changed. Emma, is everything okay? You seem different. I'm fine, Tyler. Just processing some business decisions. Was that guy a customer? He seemed intense. Emma smiled carefully. He was exploring some bulk orders. Nothing to worry about, but everything had changed. Emma's flower shop was now a front for a CIA operation. Her gentle florist persona was cover for psychological profiling work, and her neighbor David, who'd been part of her life for 5 years, was an enemy agent. That night, Emma reviewed years of interactions with David through new eyes. His helpful nature, his interest in her customers, his questions about her past, all of it took on sinister meaning. She also began preparing.
hidden in her apartment above the shop. Emma accessed equipment she'd kept stored for 12 years. Surveillance devices, communication gear, analysis tools. Her retirement had been a cover. She'd always been ready to return. The next morning, Emma reopened her shop with a new mission. She would continue being the neighborhood florist, but now she would also be gathering intelligence on the man who'd been gathering intelligence on her. David arrived at 9 a.m. with coffee, as he had every Tuesday for 5 years. "Good morning, Emma. How's business?" "Wonderful, David. How's the hardware store?" "Busy as always. Austin's growing so fast." Emma watched his micro-expressions as he spoke. Now that she knew what to look for, the tells were obvious. Calculated friendliness, strategic questions, professional interest in her responses. "You know," Emma said casually, "I've been thinking about home security. All these new people moving to Austin, you never know who's who anymore." David's expression shifted almost imperceptibly. "What kind of security?" "Cameras, alarm systems, maybe better locks. I could help with that. I know good suppliers." Emma smiled. "That's so kind of you, David. You always know exactly what people need. Just trying to be a good neighbor." But Emma heard something else in his tone. Professional interest. He wanted to know about her security setup, her vulnerabilities. "I'll think about it," Emma said. "Maybe we could discuss it over dinner sometime." David brightened. "I'd like that." As he left, Emma realized she was now playing a dangerous game. She was investigating a trained intelligence operative who'd been studying her for 5 years. But she had one advantage. He didn't know she was investigating him. Yet, over the following weeks, Emma conducted her dual life with careful precision. By day, she was the neighborhood florist, serving customers and arranging flowers. By night, she analyzed intelligence reports and planned surveillance operations. Her behavioral analysis of David became more sophisticated. She documented his patterns, his contacts, his routines. She discovered he met with 3 other people on a regular basis, all potential members of his network. Cole visited weekly, disguised as a customer ordering flowers for his wife. They would conduct briefings in the back room, hidden among the flower supplies. "Your analysis has been invaluable," Cole told her during one meeting. "We've identified 2 more operatives based on your psychological profiling." "What about David?" "We're building a case, but we need more evidence before we can act." Emma nodded. "I'm working on it. But Cole, I think he's becoming suspicious." "Why?" "He's asking more questions. About my past, my family, my friends. It feels like he's probing for something." Cole frowned. "Be careful, Emma. If he suspects you're investigating him, I know, but I need to get closer to gather more intelligence. Don't take unnecessary risks." But Emma was already planning something risky. She was going to accept David's dinner invitation. That evening, Emma prepared carefully. She wore a simple dress, applied minimal makeup, and activated a hidden recording device. She was about to have dinner with an enemy agent who'd been watching her for 5 years. David chose a quiet restaurant in East Austin. They sat in a corner booth, away from other customers. "I've been looking forward to this," David said, smiling warmly. "Me too," Emma replied, analyzing his body language. "It's nice to get out of the shop. Tell me about yourself, Emma. I feel like I know you from the neighborhood, but I don't know your story." Emma had prepared for this. "Not much to tell. I grew up in California, moved to Austin for a fresh start. The flower shop seemed like a peaceful way to live." "What did you do in California?" "Office work. Nothing interesting." David's eyes sharpened slightly. "What kind of office work?" Emma noted the persistence. "Administrative stuff. Government contracts. Very boring." "Government contracts. Nothing exciting. Just paperwork." But Emma was also gathering intelligence. She steered the conversation toward David's background, probing for inconsistencies. "What about you? How did you end up in Austin?" "My family immigrated when I was young. Austin seemed like a good place to start a business." "Where did your family come from?" "Korea. We came here for better opportunities." Emma tested him. "Do you still have family there?" "Some cousins. We don't keep in touch much." "Do you ever miss Korean food?" "There's a great Korean restaurant on North Lamar." David paused. "I don't eat Korean food much anymore. Too many memories." Emma noted. Evasive answer. "Most immigrants maintain cultural food preferences." "Have you ever been back to visit?" "No. Too expensive." Another evasive answer. Emma's analysis suggested David was deflecting questions about Korea specifically. As the evening progressed, Emma gathered more intelligence, while David gathered more about her. It was a careful dance of deception, each trying to learn about the other without revealing themselves. But Emma had one advantage. She knew she was talking to an enemy agent. David still thought she was just a neighborhood florist, or so she hoped.
2 weeks after the dinner, Emma's investigation reached a crucial point. She documented David's network, identified his contacts, and analyzed his communication patterns. But she needed definitive proof of his intelligence activities. That proof came unexpectedly. Emma was closing her shop late one evening when she noticed light in David's hardware store. He usually closed at 6 p.m., but it was nearly 9 p.m. Using surveillance equipment Cole had provided, Emma observed David's store from her apartment window. Through the telephoto lens, she could see David meeting with 3 people she'd never seen before. All appeared to be Asian, all were dressed professionally. Emma activated her recording equipment and documented the meeting. The body language was clearly business-related, not social. David appeared to be receiving instructions. After the meeting ended, Emma enhanced the audio recording. Though she couldn't understand the language, her linguistic training suggested it was Korean, not the Chinese she'd expected. She immediately contacted Cole. "We have a problem," she told him. "David's network is larger than we thought, and they're definitely North Korean intelligence." Cole arrived within an hour. Emma showed him the surveillance footage and audio recordings. "This is excellent work," Cole said. "But Emma, this level of activity suggests they're preparing for something immediate." "What kind of something?" "We're not sure, but the timing correlates with intelligence chatter about potential operations targeting American infrastructure." Emma felt cold. "What kind of infrastructure?" "Water supplies, electrical grids, communication networks, the kinds of things that would cause maximum disruption with minimal resources." Emma looked out her window at David's dark store. "He's been studying this neighborhood for 5 years. He knows everyone's routines, their vulnerabilities, their connections to city services." "Emma, we need to accelerate the timeline. Can you get closer to David's operation?" "What do you mean? We need to know what they're planning, and when. Your relationship with him is our best intelligence source." Emma understood. "You want me to get him to trust me enough to reveal operational details." "If possible." Emma considered this. It would mean deepening her deception, risking exposure, possibly putting herself in direct danger. "What if he discovers who I am? Then you'll have to use your original training." Emma knew what that meant. Her CIA training hadn't just been analysis. It had included survival skills, resistance techniques, and if necessary, neutralization methods. "I'll do it," she said. "Emma, are you sure? This goes beyond analysis. This is active intelligence gathering." "I'm sure, but I want backup." "Of course, and I want authorization to take defensive action if necessary." Cole nodded grimly. "You have it." Emma Johnson, the gentle neighborhood florist, was officially back in the intelligence business. Emma's plan was simple but risky. She would create a situation that required David's help, giving her access to his store after hours when he might be more vulnerable to revealing information. The next evening, Emma called David in apparent distress. "David, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I have an emergency. Someone broke into my shop. They damaged my security system, and I'm scared to stay here alone." David's response was immediate. "I'll be right there." He arrived within minutes, genuinely concerned. Emma had to remind herself this was an enemy agent. His concern seemed authentic. "Show me what happened," David said. Emma had staged the scene carefully. Scattered papers, a damaged flower display, and a jimmied back door. Nothing too serious, but enough to justify needing help. "I don't know what they were looking for," Emma said, allowing her voice to shake slightly. "I don't keep much money here." David examined the damage with professional attention. "This doesn't look like a robbery. Nothing valuable was taken." Emma noted his analytical approach. "What do you think they wanted?" "Information maybe. Personal records, customer lists, business documents." Emma's blood chilled. That was exactly what an intelligence operative would target. "I have a security system at my store," David continued. "Why don't you stay there tonight? I can set up a cot in the back room." This was the opening Emma needed. "Are you sure? I don't want to impose." "No problem. Let me help you gather what you need." 2 hours later, Emma found herself in David's hardware store. After closing time, the space felt different at night, more serious, more purposeful. "I need to check something in the back," David said. "Make yourself comfortable." Emma used this opportunity to examine the store with new eyes. Now that she knew what to look for, she spotted surveillance equipment, communication devices, and what appeared to be encoded documents. But most importantly, she saw David's computer was still logged in. Working quickly, Emma accessed his files. What she found confirmed her worst fears. David had detailed profiles of dozens of neighborhood residents, including herself, maps of local infrastructure, security assessments, and communication schedules. But the most chilling discovery was a folder labeled Phase 3, Activation. Emma photographed the files with her hidden camera, her heart pounding. This wasn't just intelligence gathering. This was preparation for an attack. David returned before she could read more. "Everything okay?" "Yes, just admiring your organization. You're very thorough. I like to keep good records."
Emma smiled, but inside she was calculating. David wasn't just an intelligence operative, he was a sleeper agent preparing for activation, and she was alone with him in his operational base. "David," she said carefully, "can I ask you something personal?" "Of course. Do you ever feel like you're living a double life, like you're not really who people think you are?" David's expression changed subtly. "What do you mean?" "I mean, everyone sees you as the helpful neighbor, the friendly shop owner, but sometimes I get the feeling there's more to you." David studied her face. "What makes you think that?" Emma realized she was walking a dangerous line. "Just intuition. You're very capable, more than most people. We all have hidden depths, some more than others." They stared at each other across the store. Emma could feel the tension building. David was evaluating her, trying to determine if she was probing deliberately or just making conversation. "Emma," David said slowly, "what did you really do in California?" Emma's training kicked in. "I told you, office work. What kind of office work requires security clearance?" Emma's heart stopped. "I never said anything about security clearance." "No, but you mentioned government contracts, and your behavior tonight. You're not scared. You're analyzing. That's not normal civilian behavior." Emma realized her cover was blown. David had been testing her, and she'd failed. "I think," David said quietly, "we both have secrets." Emma prepared for the worst. "David, who are you really?" "Emma Johnson." Emma had two choices: continue the deception or reveal her true identity. Given that David had clearly identified her as something other than a florist, she chose a strategic partial truth. "You're right," she said. "I'm not just a flower shop owner. I know. What do you know?" David moved closer, his demeanor changing from helpful neighbor to professional operative. "I know you're too observant, too analytical, too calm under pressure. I know you ask the right questions and notice the right details."